to live stream number 185. It's Friday. We made it, man. We made it. The clock is ticking. If you're watching the recording, I definitely don't blame you if you fast forward another minute and a half or something. Just want to give people a chance to get in here. We got YouTube here. I can see we already got Darren here. Absolutely appreciate it. Chat hater. We are also on the Facebook. Absolutely awesome. Truly appreciate it. Facebook is a little bit behind YouTube. It's kind of funny, though, that I have some YouTube issues. But that's all good. Today is Cam, because you can't really complain because it's all free, right? Today is all about Cam. Today is 5 things that you need to know about Cam inside of Fusion 360. You might already be aware of some of them, but this is definitely some of these things that I think is super important for you to know. I can see we got Bill here, Bernie's here. Absolutely appreciate it, guys. Should be all up and running. We got 30 seconds left. Remember, Toronto the 19th. That is supposedly filling up. So if you want to come to Toronto, Canada, and hang out with me for 3 or 4 hours, then I'll buy you a drink, I'll buy you pizza or something. Then that is the 19th of July. No live stream next week. I have to travel Arkansas and Detroit next week. So I'm going to have to take a week off. That's okay. That's it. The clock have tucked down. The clock have tucked down. So I am going to get rid of it. Yes. It's not my language, just trying to use it. Hey everybody, and welcome to live stream number 185. My name is Lars Christensen, and this is just an attempt to add a little bit more value to your Fusion 360 experience. It is Friday. We made it. And that means that today is all about Cam. Today's topics, 5 things that you need to know about Cam inside of Fusion 360. You may know some of them, but this is definitely the ones that I think that, easily can go under or below, over the surface. I'm gonna stop talking and let's just get inside of Fusion so we can talk about this. So we are inside of Cam. Some of you guys have maybe seen this video. If you have not, I created a video where I should have put it in the description area. I forgot about it, but you can find it or email me. Email us down in the description area of this part, walking through this part. So inside of Fusion, this hopefully you all know about this, right? So we have the different working environment. We have the model environment inside of Fusion. We have the Cam environment inside of Fusion. We can go in, we can simulate the part. One of the great things about Fusion, besides, and I have used other Cam packages out there, Fusion, in my opinion, Fusion is definitely the easiest one to learn. And because it works inside of Fusion, if I go in here and I select the face and hit Q in the model environment, and I change a depth in here. We can go and do the same thing to this one here. Hit Q, make this a little shallower. The cool thing about Fusion, right, is that if you go back into the Cam environment, it knows that those toolpaths are out of specs because we modified this, and all you really have to do is right-click and generate the toolpath, and they will now all update and be associated with the changes we did inside of the model. That you hopefully have gotten. That should be, if we've done a good job, that's hopefully what you're aware of. But there's a couple of other things that I think that if you're a Cam user, you might dig about Fusion 360. So let's start with number 1. Did you know? I'm gonna open up a brand new document. Did you know that you don't need a solid model to use Fusion 360? I talked about this not long ago in one of these live streams. Open up a new sketch. You can literally use sketch geometry. So if I sketch a rectangle here, C for circle, let's put a couple of holes in here. Stop the sketch. This is all you necessarily really need. You should probably follow the file with some dimensions, but that's another tutorial. If you go into the CAM environment and you got to create your setup, and in this case here, I'm going to select the Z, and I can select the plane, that the default origin. Now, I will say that this only works for 2.5 axes, right? But that's makes sense because everything is flat anyways. But check this out. If I go in here, could you do something like adaptive clearing? You bet. Let's go in and select a tool. Select a 60mm flat end mill here. And for geometry, you can literally select the areas here, and you can choose what areas you want it to be within. So purple, dark purple means machine area. I hit OK there, and look at this. You actually get an adaptive toolpath that will absolutely be contained within those sketches. Same thing if you go in and do a contour toolpath. You just got to machine around a block. And you click on these arrows here to control what size of the line you want the color to be on, because there's no solid, so it doesn't know. But if I hit OK here, you will now get a pass and machine around that. So I think, in my opinion, this is pretty important to know that you don't need a 3D model. If you just, so maybe not so much for the adaptive. Oh, you know, that might even be useful, but definitely for the second toolpath where we're machining around the part. If you just got to machine around a block, I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't extrude it up, but hey, man, you know, your world, your oyster, or something like that. That was number one. You can actually machine just sketches. You don't need a solid model inside of Fusion. Yeah. Second thing that I hope you may be new is STL files. Did you know that you can machine STL files inside of Fusion 360? You just need to know. So STL files, I talked about that many times. We'll talk about 3D printing. It's just made of a triangular kind of non-value, right? But if you go into the CAM environment, hit CAM, you got to do a job setup. Make sure, again, you can use the origin, so kind of like select your G54. Here's the trick. In the model environment, make sure you select the STL file. That's kind of the trick with this. But yes, now, when we did the sketches, all the 2D toolpath works. When we're talking about STLs, now it's only the 3D toolpath that works, but that's okay. So for one, it is the 2D, and for STL files, because I don't know why you want to use 2D toolpath with that. So now we can go in and select, I don't know, some kind of a ball end mill like this here, and hit OK, and we should get we will get a 3D toolpath on Mr. Washington here. So that is another thing that I hope that you know. So so far, two things. One is, if you came in late, it's Friday, it's CAM. Number one thing you need to know, you can just machine sketches. You don't need any 3D models. Number two, STL files. These file types that even like 5 years ago in the CAD world, nobody would touch. But with Fusion, you have all kinds of cool tools in the mesh workspace. That's another live stream, but you can also machine them. Pretty neat. Third thing, this is going to be a good, quick live stream here. Some people's going to be appreciative of that. Third thing, did you know about templates? So, and now I want to show you more things, but I'm going to try to stay at 5. Number 3 is templates. So we programmed this part. Again, I made a video, all the different steps. Now, you know that if you have ever worked with CAM programs before, you know that when you're going in and you're setting things up, right-click edit, you first got to input some feeds and speeds for whatever tool you're using. Many times you will go in and work with step over in there. Maybe lead in, lead out can be set for a tool. Then you go to the next tool and you're kind of like doing the same thing. You're repeating the same thing over and over again for each kind of tool path. Well, wouldn't it be nice if you could capture these settings besides just in your tool library? Now, of course, you can set the feeds and speeds in you can create your own tool libraries. We talked about that before, but wouldn't it be nice you could also capture not only the feeds and speeds, but also lead in, lead out, step over, step downs, and all those things? You can. The trick is to, when you have programmed a part and you ran it out on your machine and you verified that this was a good part, you can actually go in and you can select on top, hold down shift, select bottom, they'll just like select all of them, right click, and then you can say down here, store as template. And you can create as many templates as you want. You could have one in here that is for your favorite drilling operations. So, like I did a lot of molds or hydraulic manifolds. So those specific operations with those specific tools, you can save those in here as a template. So I'm gonna hit Save Template. Now you didn't really see anything happen on the screen here when I did that, but 3 days from now, you get another job where you got to machine something in the same material, kind of same working envelope, and you're thinking, geez, if I could just capture what I had the other day, well, you can. Just go into to the cam here. I'm going to create a setup for this part here. Something like this, whatever. Right? We have a work offset, and then you just right-click. And now you can go in and say create from template. And you will see here we get that live stream template that I just created. And of course, if you had, all different kinds of templates, you could just select whatever that one was in the list here. Click this. And now all those operations were just brought in. Now, of course, they are kind of copies from that other operation. But what is neat about this, what I like about this is, you just go in and you say, all right, let me just generate these. It starts to kind of like generate some of the adaptive and things like that. And then you go in and say, do I need to face this block off? Whoop, look at this. There is the facing operation. The facing operation we had for this part going this way is now for this part going this way. Perfect. That is exactly same feeds and speeds, step over, all that kind of stuff have been maintained. Now, maybe I know I don't need a 2D adaptive in this operation. Just right click on it and you can delete that one. The 2D adaptive, this looks maybe pretty good, but maybe on this part I actually, I maybe want to contain it. So you could go in, right click, say edit, and go over to this operation over here. And maybe you just decide that you're going to do a silhouette on it. But the cool thing about this is the feeds and speeds, the step overs, and all those other things are still maintained in here. So I don't have to worry about those things. Now I just made sure that this toolpath don't machine outside my boundary and staying in here. Same thing when you go to the horizontal area, you will see that it found all the flat areas on this one. And again, you can contain that. Maybe we don't need a 2D pocket. Right click, delete that. When it comes to these finishing operations, again, I know the step over and the feeds and speeds are all good. Maybe I just here have to right click and go in and say I want to set some kind of a tool selection. Select on this part here, hit OK, and this is now being calculated. So templates is like one of these things that seems pretty like, man, it's if you didn't know it, you're gonna be like, why didn't I know about this? Really, like I said, you have a part that you're programmed where you verified that all the toolpath were great out of your machine, the feeds and speeds, in that specific material. All you do is select those operations, how many you want. Maybe you don't want all of them. Maybe you just select those 5 that you know that you would like to keep. The other ones maybe were special. Right click, And then down at the bottom, you just say store as a template. And here was the first one we created. And now you can name it whatever makes sense to you. And when you go into a new operation, that will now be available in there as you save it out. So templates, it's one of those things. Talking about templates, today I'm wearing my John Saunders t-shirt. Hopefully you know John Saunders, NYC CNC. If you don't know John, go and check out his YouTube channel, NYC CNC. Awesome stuff there. Ton of cam. Anybody in the live stream or watching the recording, if you agree with me that John is awesome, put it down in the comments area. John is a big fan of templates too, I can tell you that. So that's why I'm bringing that up. I'm wearing his shirt today. You should go and buy one. What is the next thing? Next thing, number 4, is something called multi-edits. And this was actually something that I somehow avoided for the longest time. And what is multi-edits? Well, you have created all these different operations, and you get to your machine. You know, I raised my hand. I have absolutely done this more than once. You get out to the machine, you load in your program, you're ready to go, and you realize that all your retract heights are way too high, and the CNC machine like arrows out because it can't lift the head as high as you put it. Raise my hand. Now, how do you change that when you find that you have all these different operations where you have kind of the same thing? Well, there is an option in here. If I just select a handful, let's just select 4 of them. Right click, and right up here on top there is compare and edit. If you click on that, you get this window, and you can make this as big as you want. And this is one of those that I somebody at the development team who came up with this, they should have a beer. You have the column here that is edit all, and then you can see we have each operation. So we have phase 2 adaptive, 2D adaptive horizontal. Look over here, phase 2. So we have all, we can quickly get a view of all the different settings we could adjust within here, right? So you can see like some of them are using, what are the passes tab using as the depth of cut? Model top, that will be the facing operation, makes sense. And then you have model bottom for the 2D adaptive. That's select the cut. Like if you've seen these, if you've been inside of Fusion, you've seen some of these before. And this option in here gives you a chance to go in and literally change them all. So if I go in here and I say my clearance height offset, 0.4 inches. Sorry for all my metric friends. But if you found that this, oh man, I should have made this something else. We're in 0.6. You can just change it under edit all. Boom. Now it just changed it here. Or you could just change it on the couple that you wanted it to happening on. So let's say we wanted to do them all, but actually now we're changing our minds. We want to make this one only 2.2. You can absolutely do that. And that will show you here that they're actually not all the same. They're different. So this is a way you can go in and change this. And there's a couple of neat functions that you may not know if you are familiar with this. Down at the bottom here, you might have overseen this. You can actually go in and filter down some of the selections. So you can go down and see all the things that is different, what have already been modified. See, here's our 0.6, 0.6, 0.2, 0.6. And all this is doing is just letting you edit all these operations without having to go in and right click on each of them and actually make it happen. So when you hit OK, it just comes up and say, hey, do you want to update these 4 operations where you just made a change? You can say yes. And that will have taken those effect. And then, of course, you now will have to generate the toolpath on those 4 operations. So I hope that that is an option. So just to show you again, you can select all of the operations. You can select few operations. Just to right click, and it's right up here on top, compare and edit. Simply, so nice to have that. Especially you're standing out of the machine, you just load the code in the machine. You're like, man, I forgot that one thing. Instead of have to going in here and right clicking the operation and hit edit, use compare and edit. Last thing. I hope this is useful. You gotta let me know down in the comments area. Thumbs up, thumbs down. Be honest, right? And give me a comment if you have something to add. Last one I want to show you is simulation. So if I go in here and say I want to simulate an operation here, you get, and hopefully you all are aware of this tool, right? Now, I will tell you that this is one of the most important things that is inside of Fusion. Let me just turn the stock on here. You can see the stock. I like to use the wall paint for the live streams here. I also normally change this to tail. Just makes it a little bit easier to see. I say that this is one of the most important things. This is to look into the future. You have to take the time to sit back and simulate. I have spent thousands of hours when I used to work at Ritlam. This is your way to just make sure you don't make a mistake. So this is absolutely critical. Now, a couple of things I want to show you about the simulation. First of all, let me just stop it here in the facing operation. Did you know that you can jump to an operation just by clicking on, if you click here, it's going to jump right before that operation. Did you know that? So if I click play, it's going to start that operation. So you can fast forward. So if you want to see what contour number 4 does, you click on contour number 4 and it's ready to do that. You can also see that little thing down here. This is nice because if you're working and you want to see like some of the last operations, it's nice you can go in and see that. Now another thing, if we go back to this 2D adaptive and we turn on the toolpath for the operation here, and maybe I turn the stock off just for a second. A couple of things I want to show you. Let me just get back in here. Turn on those 2D pockets. A couple of things I want to show you in here is that you know this trick. If I go in, I don't know why I don't get to show points right now. It might be because I'm in photo booth. I'm not sure. Did you know that if you're hitting play and let it come down here. Whoops, too far. You can also work on it down here. Did you know this trick? If you hold down your left mouse button and you move your mouse back and forth, that you actually are controlling the cursor or the tool with your cursor. So just pause the simulation, hold down the left mouse button, move forward and moving backwards by holding down the left mouse button, just moving your mouse back and forth. This is awesome when you really want to come in there and kind of see what the tool does. You can just move slow and you can see right around there. I hope this is useful. Last trick. So that was 5. I can't help myself. The last trick, and I hope I can get this to work. It might not work because I'm on the live stream here, but we'll try. So in here, if we simulate it, we have over here on the mode, you have 2 different ones. You have standard, and that's kind of like the default. You have this fast. It only works for 2.5 axis and 3 axis milling. So that's important to know. But what this does is it comes in some different qualities in here. So if we click on low and we take it to the end of the tool path, you will kind of see that that it's pretty rough around the edges. If we go to extreme, it kind of redoes it and you will see that it's a lot nicer. Like if we're looking, can we look somewhere on the top here and just show the tool? If we do a low, see how if you look how jagged it is around, and if we look at extreme, you see how it's a lot finer in here. So the way I want you to look at this is this one in here, low versus extreme. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna be on the screen here. Have you ever been to, you know these, it's like needles. It's normally in a toy store where you can press kind of like your hand through. There's like 100 needles and you press your hand against it and you kind of like get that imprint or your face or something. You know what I'm talking about? Like there's like 200 needles on this little box and you can push them forward and it kind of shapes a 3D shape around what you have. You got me? That is what this is. So this extreme function on low only gives you a short amount of kind of impressions or into the part, and if you go to extreme, it gives you a better resolution on that. So I think that the low is like you had 200 needles, and I'm now maybe making this up. The extreme have 2,000 needles on here, so it gets more accurate. But here is the kicker. Hope I haven't lost you. If I go to the top view, hopefully this works, and I zoom in closer, and I'm on the extreme view here. If I now right click and I go into stock and I say zoom stock, you see how it just zoomed out? And now we only see stock here. Well, what I just did was I took those 1,000 needles that you just saw before, or 2,000 needles on the extreme, and I narrow them down to what my window is. So this is a way where you can get really, really close. Now it only works on fast 3-axis, and it only works on 2.5-axis and 3-axis. But if you're zooming really, really close in, and you right click and you go in here and you say zoom stock, see how it kind of like moves out? And the area that's going to be simulated are now, it's going to get finer and finer the closer you get in here, because it's taking those 2,000 needles on extreme. So before, when I did it first, it was 2,000 needles. When I had it on extreme, it was 2,000 needles on the whole model. Now it's 2,000 needles within this confined area. That is powerful. If you want to get out of it again, excuse me, right click and just go and say unzoom stock. And it will take you one step. Man, it's almost beer time. It's Friday. It will take you one step back. Right click, unzoom stock, and now we're back to the 2,000 needles all around. So again, you gotta go from standard down to fast. It only works on 2.5-axis and 3-axis milling, not on turning, but you can zoom in. See how jagged it is? Right click, go in here, say zoom to stock, and boom, it's gonna take those 2,000 needles within that area right there. That was about what I had planned on showing. So, I'm just gonna run through them quick here. We got a bunch of people in the live stream. I absolutely appreciate it. YouTube, Facebook, you're the best. Number one, you don't need a 3D model. If you came in late, you don't need a 3D model. You can actually use sketches. Two, those STL files that those 3D printer guys always love, that us cam guys in the past have been like, ugh, you can actually machine them with all the 3D toolpath inside of Fusion 360. Templates. If you don't use templates, John Saunders, my good friend, he will tell you that you should use templates. Go and check out John's channel. Multi-edits, where you can select multiple operations and go right-click and go and compare and edit. Now you can change settings all across those different options. And lastly, this whole simulation thing, the slow simulation, holding down the left mouse button, moving the back and forth, you can see the tool moving, and then this awesome simulation thing. That is all that I plan on showing today. I hope this was useful for all my cam friends. It is Friday. It is end of the week. Ended it with some cam. Next week, no live streams. I'm going to be out of town, so sorry about that. Don't forget, check out the description area of the videos. There's the link. There's my email address or any future topics you would like to see. There is the CNC Handbook. You can download the CNC Handbook for free. If you are in Toronto the 19th, come and say hi, man. Buy you a slice of pizza and maybe a drink. That's it. If this is good, do me a favor, thumbs up. If you think it sucks, thumbs down. And leave me a comment. Absolutely appreciate it. Subscribe, follow, whatever you need to do. Friends, have an awesome, awesome weekend. Take care.